Factorising into brackets, single brackets with adamonlinetutoring. Here are the beginner questions, some of the easiest questions that you're likely to find on this topic. Factorising is the opposite of expanding brackets. You look for a common factor of all the terms in an expression and take it outside the brackets. These common factors could be numbers, variables, or both. To factorise an expression fully, you need to find the highest common factor of all of the terms. So factorising 3y minus 15 will go into a single bracket. We need to look at both of the terms and find the highest common factor. In this case, it would just be a number. 3 and 15 are both in the 3 times table and therefore have a factor of 3. So we take 3 outside the bracket and then we can work forwards and think what we need to multiply 3 by to give us 3y, and that would be y. And then what we need to multiply 3 by to give us 15, which would be 5. So the final answer is 3 bracket y minus 5. Factorising 7c minus c squared. As mentioned earlier, the highest common factor of all of the terms might not necessarily be a number and may be a variable. In this case, both of these terms are divisible by c. So taking c outside the bracket, I would then need to multiply this by 7 to give me 7c. And I would need to multiply by c to give me c squared, leaving me with c bracket 7 minus c. Lastly, we could end up with a situation where both of the terms have common factors between numbers and variables. Starting with the numbers first, 12 and 8 have a highest common factor of 4. You need to make sure you have the highest common factor and you don't use something like 2, which would result in you not factorising the expression fully. Both of these are divisible by x, so I can take x outside the bracket also. Now, to get from 4x to 12x squared, I would need to multiply the 4 by 3, and x would need to be multiplied by x to give me x squared. And for the last term, I would need to multiply 4x by 2 to give me 8x. On to the intermediate questions, with a slight increase in difficulty. 12 and 8 have a highest common factor of 4. Looking at the variables pq and p squared, both of these are divisible by p, which is common to both. To get from 4p to 12p squared, I would have to multiply the 4 by 3, and p would need to be multiplied by q. And to get from 4p to 8p squared, 4 would need to be multiplied by 2, and p would need to be multiplied by p. For the next question, 8 and 10 have a highest common factor of 2. And looking at the variables, ab squared and a squared b, both can be divisible by a and b. To get 8ab squared, 2 times 4, a times 1, or has stayed the same, b would need to be multiplied by b. For the second term, 2 times 5 is 10, a times a is a squared, and b times 1 will remain the same. Lastly, 12 and 6 have a highest common factor of 6. This time, looking at x to the power of 6 and x to the power of 4, not only are both of these divisible by x, but they can actually both be divided by x to the power of 4. So you would need to take the highest power of x divisible from both. And to get 12x to the power of 6, I would need to multiply 6 by 2, and x to the power of 4 would need to be multiplied by x squared. 6x to the power of 4 has just remained the same. This means that you've multiplied by 1. On to the advanced questions. These are some of the most difficult questions that you're likely to see on this topic. They could involve 3 or more terms and have higher powers of variables to consider, but the method or strategy for working them out remains the same. Starting off with the numbers, the highest common factor is just 1, so nothing to be taken outside of the bracket, and then concentrating on the variables, and perhaps starting with a first in alphabetical order. The largest power of a that you can take from all of these terms would be a to the power of 1, or just a by itself. Now moving on to the b variable, the highest power that you can take from all of these would be b to the power of 3. So working forwards and working out what I need to multiply ab cubed by to get 16a to the power of 5, b to the power of 5. Firstly, I would need to multiply by 16. A would need to be multiplied by a to the power of 4. B would need to be multiplied by b squared. Next, I would need to multiply a by a cubed to give me a to the power of 4, and b cubed would need to be multiplied by b squared to give me b to the power of 5. Lastly, you can see that ab cubed has remained the same to give me ab cubed, which means I must have multiplied by 1. For the last question, I've run out of room for the arrows. Looking at the numbers, all of these are divisible by 11. X squared, x cubed, and x are all divisible by x, and y cubed, y squared, y to the power of 5 can be divided by y squared. Working forwards, 11 has remained the same. X needs to be multiplied by x for x squared, and y squared would need to be multiplied by y to give me y cubed. Separated by a negative or a subtraction, the second term, 11, has remained the same. X would need to be multiplied by x squared, and y squared has remained the same. And separated by a positive or an addition, 11 would need to be multiplied by 6 for 66. X has remained the same, but y squared would need to be multiplied by y to the power of 3 to give me y to the power of 5. Before you go, take a look at the solution which I've provided for a question. It appears as though I've made some mistakes. Pause the video, see if you can find them, and either tell me what they are or make some corrections in the comments below.
Thanks for watching. If you found that video useful, don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment. If you're struggling with maths or finding topics difficult, you can subscribe and turn on notifications to receive regular updates about new video tutorials. Don't forget to visit my website adamonlinetutoring.com for a full searchable list of all topics with exams, questions and solutions. You can also visit me on social media using the handle @AdamMathsTutor on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook and Twitter. All links in the description below.